Justice and Constitutional Development is about to give an update on the efforts to address hate crimes against LGBTIQ plus persons, given the recent spate of attacks against the community. We take you live to that.
Usually permissible or not, only to find that the court then gives judgment a few days later where they actually define for you what is allowed and what isn't. So that's effectively where the bill is. So we are not at the implementation stage. The bill still has to be passed. However, that doesn't stop. The important issue is that all these cases, particularly the serious cases, the murders, the rapes, attempted murders, attempted rapes, need to be properly investigated. If there is if there is a belief, if it is a hate crime, then the prosecutors need to lead evidence during sentencing, in aggravation of sentencing, that this was a hate crime, so that the person can get a more serious sentence. And we also then need to look at doing more as a society as a whole to prevent these crimes. The second question, I might have answered them. Does this bill actually hold weight in preventing the surge of violence against the same-sex community? Look, it's not just same-sex. We've made reference to sexual orientation. There's the LGBTI, which is lesbian, gay, gender, bisexual, intersex, etc. We've been using the terminology of people of different sexual orientation. That's people of the same sex who love each other. Gender identity would be the identity of the person, what identity they see themselves as having. Gender expression would be the gender that they express, and sex characteristics would relate particularly to intersex people. We've got good laws. Violence against anyone is a crime. It's a crime to hit somebody. It's a crime to abuse somebody. The problem is the laws are not implemented. And I think what is important with the current surge of violence that you describe is, firstly, as I'd mentioned, the crimes that have been committed are properly investigated. People are arrested. People are prosecuted. People are convicted. And people then realize, the general public out there realize that to commit a crime like that is going to lead to consequences. But the other is to engage with trying to identify which sectors in our society are actually getting motivated by this homophobia and looking at strategies to try and change their attitudes. And then the issue of what do we say to our neighboring countries? Well, look, violence against, there has been a resolution from the African Commission on Human and People's Rights that violence against people of the LGBTIQ plus sector communities is wrong and needs to be dealt with. We, as South Africa, support the rights of people to be different as far as their sexual orientation, gender identity, gender expression, sex characteristics. And that's something that we need to be saying to the rest of the continent and the rest of the world, that we need to respect these rights of people who are different. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Minister. I'm just minded perhaps to also give an opportunity to Advocate Kari Guamo and Advocate de Kock, and as well as our colleagues from SABC, to give a brief but technical and simple description of how we go about prosecuting crimes of this nature, in spite of us not having the hate crimes bill legislated yet, so that we are able to illustrate to the public that in spite of these bills not being fully legislated yet, the work is being done. Advocate Karigamo?
Thank you, Crispin. I'm not sure if Advocate de Kock would like to go first. Could I just check?
Thank you, Advocate Karigamo. Please proceed, seeing that this relates directly to actual prosecutions and our formulation of those charges that we normally, as a general conception, be able to put in these particular matters. So with that background, perhaps you should just deal with those issues quickly. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Even without the hate crimes bill, if we are able to have all of those facts before us as the prosecution, and that is why it is so crucial that all the background information is in fact contained in the docket. Because a docket can, when it arrives at the prosecution, it can simply say that A stabbed B. We would not even necessarily know that it is a person from the LGBTIQ community, for example. And so we then, through proper guidance of the investigation, that may or may not come to light. And this is where that engagement with SABC is going to be absolutely crucial. SABC being able to identify that this is actually a hate crime from the onset. And that will be through procuring the statements of the witnesses on the scene. And if that is in the docket, from the prosecution side, we will then, because we are busy we have trained our people already on how to identify these hate crimes, we should be able to, where necessary, guide the investigation further so that we have a solid case that when we place it before court, we can say to court, this is not just a murder. It is, in fact, a hate crime. So, since the hate crime bill being passed, as I said before, the additional information which we place before court will be for purposes of aggravation of that sentence at a later at sentencing stage. So, Crispin, if that is how I understood the question correctly, for me, it is that aggravation that will be absolutely crucial going forward. So that, but again, all of this is influenced by how we approached the matter from the onset, from the investigation part of it, right through to how we guided the investigation and how we present this case to court as a hate crime, to ensure that the court does in fact say this is a hate crime.
Thank you very much, Advocate. May I open the floor to any of our colleagues from SABC to provide a technical but simple explanation of how you approach hate crimes in the current environment? Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, DM Chair, General Mukhale from Detectives. The colleagues, especially from NPA, advocates have already alluded to the point. We jointly work on the matters. During our investigation, we ensure that we consult with the NPA where we are going to be given a guidance in terms of how to deal with these matters and the formulation of charges. So as a team, we make sure that the correct charges are formulated, necessary statements leading to that effect are taken, so as cases can be placed on a roll and be positively adjudicated. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Brigadier, Major General. I think then, colleagues, in the absence of any other questions, Takalani, from your side, I think we can then draw this press conference to a close. And I really thank you for your kind attention. Thank you very much.
something is always happening on the My McDonald's app. Download now.
Are you satisfied with services that you get from the government? Is your tax being spent wisely or squandered? Well, for incisive, probing journalism, join me, Vuyo Mvoko, every Monday to Friday at 8 p.m. Only on the SABC News channel. The Watchdog. SABC News, independent, impartial.
My alarm clock rings before 4 o'clock in the morning. The first thing I grab is a cup of coffee and make my way into work, catching up on all of the news, reading articles, trying to inform my mind about things that have happened overnight and to try and put them all together. And that's when you wake up, when we've hopefully put everything together for you into a program that'll get you going, into a program that'll start your day with everything you need to know before you go. Know that you've got a team working to make sure that your day goes according to plan.